Good morning, everybody. 10:04. This meeting is called to order. Trustees in attendance. Fire away. Hazel.
Hazel Nesbitt.
John Kimack here.
Tracy Harris, present.
Mike Williams, present.
Rebecca Hausman, present.
Let the record show that all trustees are in attendance except for Bob Weeder, who is currently at home. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Whoop. There goes man down. A couple of announcements. The meeting is being recorded. Normally we do have a sign-up sheet, but we misplaced our sign-up sheet. So if you want to speak today, just stand up, state your name, and then come up to the front, and we'll get you documented accordingly. Working through approvals. Can I get an approval of minutes for the July 10th, 2021 meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. July 10th, 2021 executive meetings. Can I get an approval?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. We're going to go straight into the reports. We are going to forego the treasurer's report because we are minus our treasurer.
Add it later. If
Yeah,
need
we
to.
can, we'll figure it out.
You'll be able to watch it if you'd like. I'll get with Bob and have him read it, and then you can go online and watch it.
It'll be fancy. Maintenance report, Mike.
Recently, what maintenance has been doing, they got the dumpster bin in place for back here. So when we have community rentals, everybody can throw their trash from the rental that night, can throw the trash behind me here. And also the concession stand has a place to throw the trash rather than driving up to Northwoods. So that should help us out. Recently, Power Wash Community Center patio, painted the picnic tables out front here. Clean ditches at Greystone, Plum Tree, Oak Bend, Cardinal, Choctaw, Taurus, Circlewood Trail, Choppin, Chisholm Trail, Chiquita, Daybreak, Field Creek, and Falcon View. And we got the aerators working over at Woodland, and we got them installed at the proper height
He's taking mine.
for the, in case when the water rises.
He's taking mine.
Shouldn't be an issue anymore.
What?
You're stepping on her toes.
Oh, sorry,
Still
Hazel.
Hazel's thunder.
All right, that's what I got.
Yeah, thunder thief. All right. Hazel, you got anything you want to add?
Well, we already know the aerators are working at Woodland, and they're working great. It makes the lake look really nice. And at Emerald, we're still looking for an engineer. And on greens, it's going to take 2 weeks with no rain before we can finish greens. And
Very
that's
good.
it for the lakes.
All right. Floor is open for public comment for those who wish to speak. Don't everybody jump up at once. None of us do. It's all right. Come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to talk about the way the quorum is counted. The procedure used counting the quorum has been changed since the procedure that we've used since the beginning of the time here. When I inquired to John why, he answered, "We're following the indenture as written." So I looked it up. He was correct of the wording, but not the intent of the originally accepted 35 years ago. So the history of the quorum: in 1985, National Development turned the property over to Woodland Lakes trusteeship. At that time, the quorum was under national rules, and it was 51% of the property owners were needed. National always got the vote accepted or not, depending on what they wanted, because they controlled the quorum. When changing leadership, the quorum was changed as follows. As from the minutes of the meeting, a wording change removing the words "of all owners," replacing them with "who are present and voting." That passed 163 yes, 14 no. Present and voting has always been used since 1986. It was still a majority of 51 needed, but it was present and voting. It was at this time voting was changed to 5 votes maximum. This was to keep National, who still owned hundreds of lots, from total control. It was made a fair playing ground for owners even in the future. We are that future. We as owners have fair, even voting power. It was accepted and been used since 1985. One lot, one owner, regardless of the number of names on the deed. For an example, Lot 163 is deeded to Thomas Hensley, or 163 is deeded to Thomas Hensley and Karen Hensley. That's still one owner. At the beginning of 1987, March 28th, the quorum was changed from a majority of owners to 100 owners. That passed 768 to 257. We used to have thousands of people at our meetings. When counting lots, the total for 100 owners was used, counting vote, 1 lot, 1 owner. So it's always been, since 1985, that the owners present and voting are the ones used for the quorum. We have used count of 100 ballots for quorum for 35 years. The standard procedure has not been interrupted any other way. As a matter of fact, our current SOPs state, and I'm reading from a current SOPs approved March 2021. The following procedures shall be followed when a quorum has not been met. Parentheses, that is, less than 100 property owners who have registered to vote. And then it says, ballots and voting. All ballots shall be numbered and witnessed for purpose of establishing a quorum. The semi-annual property meeting to verify those property owners who, according to the requirements, are entitled to vote. It doesn't change the quorum, changing the quorum to have meeting legal. Over 35 years, this number 100 for quorum has never been allowed to change. When proposed to lower the quorum, it never passed. If lowered, it would change the percentage of owners making decisions for everyone. An example for that is if you need 100 for quorum and 256 are present. That's 39% to allow the meeting. But the owners are represented 256. That's 100%. Counting all the owners present to reach a quorum, the lots represented, the same 256, voted 256. That's still 100. But 19%, there's only 128 total. Here's where a severe problem could arise. We could get an approved meeting, 100 for a quorum, counting everyone there. But each owner has 5, let's say they have 5 people on the deed, okay? I need 20 lots represented. That's 20 votes. Do we want 20 votes to decide what's going on here? No, we want at least 100. That's even way too low. That's why less than 100 was never approved. Here's something that could happen that's totally legal, okay? All legal the way we are establishing a quorum now, not as in the past. The board majority decides, I'm just taking this for an example. Don't anybody say, oh my God, that's what the board's going to do. I'm not. The board majority decides they want to sell the pool. Let's say it's not really working well, it's costing too much money. So they're going to sell the pool to 2 people. Here's what's needed for that under the current change. They need those 20 lots, which would be 100 people, because if all of them show up, that's 20 lots times 5, that's 100. Announce that the meeting, the special meetings in the Washington paper, that's all they're having to do, okay? Not most people get the Washington County paper. Most people that live here don't even get it. So you have 100 owners present. It's been announced appropriately. So 20 people are voting because that's all they're allowed. They just sold the pool to 2 individuals as a private enterprise, okay? That's scary. I'm not saying this board would do it, but some board in the future. And we still don't want 20 people deciding what can happen. We don't need under 100 to do that. While reviewing the annual, special, and monthly board meeting minutes, I saw an interesting pattern. The complaints were, and this is from 86, the complaints were the roads. Those of you who were here in 86 understand that mine road was worse than any of our roads in here. The trash, the noise, and theft. But never once was there ever a complaint of how we counted the quorum present and voting. Another way to look at this is this. It's the law of past practice. Definition of past practice is any long-standing frequent practice that is known and accepted. Past practice is usually used, there are several issues, but the main one is clarifying ambiguous language. Cases before the Supreme Court have been ruled in favor of past practice. What practice is being questioned? If a practice is being questioned, it must meet these requirements to be considered a past practice. It has to be applied consistently, not a special or one-time event, not an exception to the general rule. Both sides are allowing it, and substantial time used and accepted is 3 to 5 years. Let's take our quorum through those 4. Practice was applied consistently and accepted. We've been doing it since 1985 with 0 complaints, so it's pretty much consistently applied. General rule, not used as an exception. It was an exception. It's always been that way. Both sides, and both sides here are owners and trustees, have allowed the practice to occur, reviewing all the minutes from 1986 of the board meetings, the owner meetings, and any special meeting. Never once has there been a complaint to count differently. So it's occurring. Substantial time used, the courts say 3 to 5 years. We've used it for 35, so I think we fall into that. If changed, both sides are notified and agreed. The board has used past practice, and I don't think it was announced, and I don't think the owners agreed to it. This board has used past practices several times, so we could use it now. I'm going to explain 3 of them that I know of personally. It's not hearsay. I was in this conversation. And 3 were with John Kymek. I assume John answered in accord with the board practices. First question I ask is, when is the board going to enforce exterior home to be furnished within 6 months? John answered, in the past, Woodland has allowed other building codes to be violated, as garage not the same as the exterior. Yes, that's in the indenture, but because of past practices, what it says is not in the indenture. Violations are not enforceable. Second, I ask why commercial business was allowed on a non-commercial lot. John's answer, because in the past, in-home businesses have been allowed. Board can't enforce without being sued. So because of past practices, we can't enforce what the indenture says. But the board recently removed a business from a non-commercial lot. So it's been done recently. It's not just all in the past. The side note on in-home businesses, since it does meet past practices, since 86 rules have been to follow. You have to have it in a residential home. There's no blocking of traffic. There's no signage, and you don't do it outside of the hours of 7 to 10 p.m. John also said those aren't written, but because of past practices, they should be allowed. Third question, I asked why the board allows camper sheds on building lots, and John said, past practice of Woodland has allowed it to do. Citing past practices, once again, in the indenture not being enforced as written. Actually, that does not meet past practice because it's not applied to everyone. Both sides, it was not announced, and both sides did not agree to it. It's not used regularly, and it's not in substantial time. I have general questions for the board. All I'm asking for the board is to write that amendment the way it's been interpreted, and it was written that way in 86. How long has this change been used to count the quorum? Why the change? And how can the board pick and choose which past practice is to be followed? And I'm almost done. Many owners feel that the establishment of a quorum has been wrongly changed. The 35-year-old method is a stronger quorum representation than the recent change. Do we want it easier to establish a quorum for meeting to be legal? Let's not lower our standards, but increase them. There are plenty new owners to help meet the quorum. If a minimum of 100 owners don't want to vote, shame on them. In communities ours, the lot, the owner entity, is what is represented in voting, not the number of people on the deed. Board, this has a very easy fix. Please submit an amendment to change current statement by adding present and voting and remove all as in 1986. Then current owners and future owners will be able to follow the indenture as it was intended with no confusion. Let's do the right thing. If the board or owners decide the current wording is what must be followed, then does all the quorums that's been formed since 1986 become null and void? Their amendments, the assessments would be $40. There would be no special assessments, and the trustees would go back to the original 3, which 2 are still alive. So we can't null and void everything. So we need to work together. It's a very simple process. Add those 2 words, count the quorum like we've always counted it, and let's do what we've done since '85. Thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions from anybody?
Yes.
Yes.
So you said you have one question for us. Can you repeat your question?
My question is why, oh, I had 3.
Okay, so yeah, can you repeat those questions?
Yes. I'll have to find it. Okay, general questions. One is, how long has this change been used to count the quorum?
Since I've been on the board,
And that would have
3
been
years.
what year?
3 years.
Okay. Why the change?
It wasn't a
how can-
change, it's as it's written in our indentures, so.
Okay,
that's
I
how-
just explained that.
Well, past practices, you know, we weren't around for past practices. We are board, we make the decisions on things as written. I mean, it's-
Okay. And how can the board pick and choose which past practice is used? Was my 3rd question.
Depending on if it's something that would require selective enforcement or something that we determine as written is how it should.
Okay. Anything else?
Repeat question 2.
General questions. How long has this change been used to count the quorum? Why the change? And how can the board pick and choose which past practice is to be used?
So I think kind of answer your question is things were done a long time ago that when this board came in, how can we go back and reverse it? How do you go back and reverse so many things that were done wrong? So as a
It
board-
wasn't done wrong. It was, you're saying 35 years we were here and no one ever complained because it was written present and voting.
You're asking 3 general questions. How long has the change been used? Why the change? And why can we pick and choose what's being done? I'm answering question number 3. Why are we picking and choosing? Things were done before John Kamak came in, Hazel came in, any of us ever came in. Now we're trying to go forward and fix that. And it's going to take some time to do that. It can't be done overnight. So why are we picking and choosing? We're trying to choose our battles very carefully. And
Okay, well, I'm starting a battle then. I think the quorum is interpreted incorrectly.
The difference, Karen, is, have you read the article as written?
Yes.
It specifically says owners present, doesn't say voting owners. You're saying, well, it's supposed to be voting owners.
In
Well, maybe it's a-
1986, it said that.
So you're telling me somebody changed the wording in our indenture that's registered with the county?
I don't know that. Or it was left out because everybody knew that and
Well,
assumed it. And I
We
know if
can
it
only
was.
go by what's written and registered with the county. We can't just add words or meanings and intent.
I'm asking you to add words. That's what I'm asking.
Well, that's fine, then you can write up an amendment
I
for
will.
April and let's see if, you know, if we'll accept
If
that.
the board doesn't
Right now,
deci-
we have to, we follow what we see.
Well, you keep saying we have to follow what the indenture says, but you don't. A house, there was, you guys
Operating
removed-
procedures and
you
enforcement of
removed-
restrictive covenants are two different things.
But you removed, had a business removed from a
What
lot.
business?
Yeah, what was that?
At the corner.
No, we did not have them removed. They moved out.
But they were not on a business lot.
Yeah, we haven't
John,
found
you
that
told me
either.
that yourself. You
No,
were.
I never told you that we
Okay.
removed them. Never removed them.
Okay.
They moved out and sold their property. They were a camping company or something. Nothing to do with
Shed
it.
company.
We found out after that because they were trying to sell the lot as a commercial lot. And it was not a commercial lot, it was a building lot. That's what I told you. But that was after they were already in the process of selling. We didn't run them out of there at all. Because we can't find any documents that say you can't run any type of business off of a residential lot. We can't
I'll
find
find
that
it in
wording.
the old indenture. It says commercial on commercial
It just tells
lot.
us what the commercial lots are from 1980, whatever. And think about it back then, there were no internet-based businesses, there were no law firms, there were no, the only types of businesses were pretty much brick and mortar businesses where you had parking lots and people that came in and stores and such.
Okay.
It's the 21st century now, so things have changed, and we have to change with it. So we are working on that with the attorneys to find out where the guidelines on that should fall. But at this point, we just can't run out there and unilaterally start telling people, you can't do this, but you can. You made it clear that you run a home-based business.
I do.
And you're trying to say that that's in our bylaws somewhere, and it's not. You're just saying, well, that's the way we were told.
Because a past practice
but
is
see-
accepted.
Just because somebody said something doesn't make it true, doesn't make it legal.
I guess,
According to past practice
Well-
law, it does if you go to court. It can be proven, yes. Okay, thank you.
I got one question. I'm not really familiar about this past practice, and I'm gonna look into that, because that would be excellent if we could go by that. I guess how would you curve, like in the past, there has been handouts from previous office people to owners saying that you can have your camper on a building lot over the weekend, and you have to remove it on Sunday when you leave. Now, that is nowhere in the indentures, so how would you stop that? Because that's been done for so
Past
many
practice.
years. So you're
That was
going on that
accept-
past
it was-
practice?
it was be
Even though
accept-
it's not in the indentures?
It doesn't, that's the whole thing. It doesn't have to be in there. Usually these are used with contracts with employers. And because the language is ambiguous, they go by past practice. If I allowed you an hour for lunch all the time,
Right.
and then come in and after 20 years say, I'm sorry, but you can't take an hour, but you still, and they'll just, by past practice, it was allowed, so you're not taking, you're not
Okay, yeah, we'll
given
look
any.
that's new to me, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, you look under past practice
And
law.
we kind of did look, we'll check again, but I have no problem looking into that. I mean, if
I
that's
think
something
what
we
you're
can
getting
do.
at is you're getting at what we found out about the building lots that kind of makes that rule null and void.
Yeah, because
Because it
that's what-
hasn't been enforced for so long. Past practices allowed people
What
to
has not
violate.
been, what has not been, I'm sorry, say that again.
You're speaking about past practice, and I said I think that kind of falls into that same issue we had with the building lots, where boards have allowed people to put structures on those building lots.
They've
even
been,
though-
also had letters and they tore some down and
Well,
moved
there's
them
also been
out.
there was a lot of favoritism. there
I'm
was a
just
lot
here
of-
for quorum.
Well-
That's really all
Well,
I'm
you
here
asked
to
the question
debate.
about past practices, and we're saying, yes, that does tie our hands in a lot of cases. And that's where we get into the selective enforcement. If we start enforcing some of this stuff, we do get ourselves in trouble. So we are working on all these things, but as far as quorum goes, if you want to write up an amendment, that's great. But at this point, we follow the way it's written in the indenture, and we have nothing else to go on. We don't have any past practice, we don't even have any way of proving that. You're just saying it, so.
Well, you can
follow
prove
me?
it that it's always been done and there's never been a complaint about
Well,
it.
yeah,
It
you
was
can say
totally
that, but
accepted.
I wasn't here in '86. I don't.
So
none
everything
of
that
us
was
were.
done before you were on the board doesn't count?
But how can you say that was the intent, I guess?
Perception
That was
is
the
hard.
intent, I mean,
It's written in parentheses, in their article, present and voting. It wasn't just an intent, it was described. After that, owner was those who were present and voting, are the ones who were at meetings. That's why we gave out 100 ballots, they were numbered, and when you reached a number 100, quorum was met. It's been that way forever. Yeah, but you don't use that 100 for a quorum.
Well, I guess unfortunately, they didn't put that in the indenture.
And register that they are here and present.
Yeah.
But we do still number the ballots. It does make it easier to count because we had smaller. There were times that we didn't make quorum years before. I've been here. They've had to reschedule.
Exactly, and
So
we,
it would made it easier to count. If they would have went by the indenture with every owner present, they would not have had to do that.
that's true, but you're lessening, you don't have 100 votes then.
Well,
I can't imagine that we'd really want less than 100 people making decisions. That's one out of, what, 3,000?
Well, I think
well, and that's
splitting
just,
hairs
that's
now,
just the
'cause we
people
don't have
that
that
made the
problem.
meeting. You're still having other voters, absentee.
You only have, okay.
Right. That's
You
the
know,
meeting.
you still got
Thank you.
more than 100 votes.
Right, yeah, I still
Yes,
do it
you
that
would
way.
cut off the 100 corners.
All right, Linda, come on up.
We haven't had that problem with quorum,
Okay,
but we allow everybody to check in because it does say owners present.
okay.
Good morning.
Good
I
morning.
ran across something that I thought was very interesting, and I was wondering if I could arrange for something at the office. This is a cookbook that, I know it sounds a weird thing to bring up at this meeting, but a cookbook from 1993, and it's a cookbook from all the people who had property in here. And I want to make copies of it, but I need to know how many copies that people are interested in, and then I can find out how much it's going to be. And I was wondering if I could put a list up at the office to put names on for people to order these or want them.
I
I
don't
don't
see
see
a
why
problem
not.
with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Darlene, you okay with that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Who else? Anybody else? Oh. Yeah,
Come on up.
come on up.
Nothing major. On our board meetings, did the speed limit change to 35 or is it still 25?
To my knowledge, still 25.
25.
Okay, because in the notes it
On
says
road.
35.
Where?
On what?
Is that on the lake?
There's 35 on the
Okay,
lake.
never mind. And then, what are they doing on Lake Lore?
Where?
What are they doing on Lake Lore in our ditches and stuff?
Lake Lore, the road?
Lake Lore Road?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh. Is it in your,
yeah, let me see if that's on the list.
It was last night.
You can always call the office at any time to ask questions about.
Yeah, I'm assuming if it was a gravel road,
No, they're digging all the ditches and taking dirt out.
but is it a gravel or paved road?
We're on gravel.
Okay, they're probably, doing ditches, yeah.
They have to have them cleaned out. When we get really heavy rains, they have to be able to go somewhere, the rain. So they have to have the ditches dug deep.
Yep, they're cleaning them.
Otherwise, we'd have major problems. And we already had major problems.
That's fine. I was just curious because
Yeah, I
they're
think they're-
digging all around, so I was just curious in certain spots. So I was just curious because they are pretty deep already, and we were going to put piping down. So we were just curious what they're actually doing.
Yeah, I got a list here of the ones that we just did. I don't see Lake Lore, but he may have just left it off his list.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be ditches.
And what's your name?
Cool.
Cynthia Pelt.
Pelt? Okay.
Thanks, Cindy.
Anybody else? Come on up, Linda.
On a ditch, you have to have a culvert, right? That's deep.
If you need a culvert, yes.
If you
Yeah.
need one.
Can you have a drawbridge? I know this is a weird question, but can you have something that comes down over that? You drive over it and you pull it back up.
As long as it's not impeding in the flow of the water.
Yeah.
Or getting in the roadway.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
I don't see why not. I mean, you have to be careful. I wouldn't have it too far out in the road, because when they come
Right.
to grade,
I think
I wouldn't want that bridge to get hit.
Well, it would be drawn back up when you weren't using it.
Off the top of my head, I can't really see an issue with that.
Okay.
Like I said, as long as it doesn't, the water still flows, and yeah, I don't see why not. Be kinda neat.
He's laughing at me. Okay, thank you.
What'd she say? You laughing? Oh. No, I don't know.
That's a neat idea. Yeah.
No, I think it's kinda neat.
That's all right. All
Be
right.
kinda neat.
If there's no further comment from the floor, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.